Last video I posted, we got the engine back in the Malibu. Now that means we can just kind of continue to move forward. One thing I really want to work on is the turbo kit setup that I kind of made myself. I am using the Hooker turbo log manifolds. I don't know if you can see that guy right down. Can I point? There we go. That thing right there, right? It does a crossover from driver's side up into passenger side, and then it goes up into the turbo. And I made this guy when I initially put this all together. So this is coming off that manifold there. This is where the turbo mounts. But look at these welds. Not great. This is when I first kind of started learning on how to weld and TIG weld. And I think I actually got upset about how I was doing in TIG welding and not understanding it so much. And this section right here is actually MIG welded. So the correct thing to do, start over, redo it all over. I'm not going to do that for right now. Eventually, maybe, yes, but I had heat wrap on this thing, mostly to cover up the sins that I made with this. But I think I can still make it look salvageably pretty. Is that a word? It's my new phrase. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to kind of grind down the ugly welds and then go back over it with the TIG welder in order to make it look a little bit prettier. That's just my goal. And I'm not going to wrap it up again because honestly, I just want to make sure that this thing isn't going to crack. It's going to be properly supported. I have like a clamp. Like I made a support before, which is this guy here, right? This is ugly as shit. I'm not going to lie. Not great at all. And it mounted to like a transmission mount and it was just terrible. I'm going to simplify it. I'm just going to use this guy because it's adjustable. I need to build like basically one bracket off of the frame that this will mount to, and then this will mount to this little section right here on the turbo. So I'm going to get going on that. We're going to see how far we can get this weekend. But yeah, first step, clean this thing up and then go ahead and re-weld everything. I'm not going to back purge it either. I didn't before, and I just took a die grinder in there and just kind of wherever there was that sugaring, I ground it down, and that should be fine. I know it doesn't make for a stronger weld as it would if you did back purge it, but I'm just working with what I got here. I don't have like a back purging system, and I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to, so I'm not gonna. So yeah, like I said, clean this up, re-weld it. Let's make it look a little bit prettier. I think I got this down pipe / up pipe all set, ready to go. If you remember, there was a pretty ugly weld right there. Ground that down, re-welded it, and then ground it down again, and so it's all smooth. This is stainless, right? I think this is mild steel because this piece here is from Monkey Fab. His logo's on there somewhere, which bolts up to the turbo I have, which is an S475 from Summit. But it also has provisions for like mounting right there. That's why I kind of liked it. And then I added this gusset piece in here, and you might be like, oh, that hole's kind of cool. No, this used to be off of the 50. It was an old mounting bracket. It's the only piece of chunk of 1/8-inch stainless steel I had, so I had to cut it off of old exhaust and make it work for right here. It's going to work pretty good because I know, with heat expansion and stuff like that, these welds right here tend to crack. So I'm going to try to prevent that as long as I can. Just putting a little gusset in there kind of helps this from doing one of these numbers. This weld actually was pretty good, so I kind of left it alone, just cleaned it up. This weld, on the other hand, was all MIG welded, and it was just like zap, 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 zap. It was kind of ugly, so I ground that down and then went ahead and went over that guy again. It looks a lot better. Went ahead, wire wheeled this thing out, hit it with a fresh Scotch-Brite pad, and it should be good to go. So now I can bolt this guy up and work off from there and figure out how to make the bracket that bolts to the frame, that bolts to that, and to support it all, to keep it more from being, rattled around and shaking itself to breaking itself, kind of a thing is what I'm trying to prevent. So let's get this thing bolted on and continue on. Down pipe, bolted on. Down pipe, up pipe. That's why it's an up pipe, because it goes up. That's good to go. And then in order to find out the placement of where the turbo needs to sit, in order to make sure that the exhaust piece that I already had made comes out the car and doesn't hit it or anything, you got to mock everything up. So turbo is bolted on, well, just the exhaust housing piece of it, and then the wastegate, and that all comes in one. And this one, I unwrapped it because, well, it was wrapped up in, you know, the titanium heat wrap or whatever, and it's fiberglass, and it makes your hands so freaking itchy. I even wore gloves, but just dealing with that stuff, I can't anymore. I tore it all off. I'm gonna get some heat shields, I think, that go here and here, and it's something that maybe goes around the muffler. And I have a Black Sheep Industries turbo blanket that goes around the turbo itself, and that's gonna be good enough. I can't. Plus, this looks cool. You know, all the stainless and stuff like that. These welds look really pretty good, so I don't have to redo any of this. I must have been like figured it out on all this. But now I gotta make a mount, redo the mount. I want to use this. These were like sway bar end links from a sway bar kit. I don't even remember what it's from. But anyway, I want to reuse it. And I think I'm going to make some kind of angle bracket that comes off these two bolts here instead of utilizing the bolts holes that you can't see back here, and mount it kind of like that. This thing just needs a little bit more support because all that's really supporting this whole section here from rotating in is that V-band clamp. And that's not good enough. You need a little bit more. So like I said, let's come up with a bracket using some cardboard and some angle. Just simple bracket off here, simple bracket off here, bolt, and that should be good. So I'm gonna get going on that. Let's make up some templates, cut it out, good to go. First bracket piece is all made up. I like to use this thick aluminum angle that I have lying around, that I've had lying around forever from what I don't even know, but construction paper came up with my template in order to figure out exactly how it's gonna be, trace it back onto the aluminum, and then come up with this guy. It looks pretty decent, a lot better than what I had on there before, which is, here. So this is what we had before, right? It was mounted, it's overkill and stupid and weak at the same time. It's a transmission mount that mounted to the frame and then it mounted to the turbo itself. And honestly, the welds are terrible. Everything about this, I hate. So gone, replaced with this guy. So I'm gonna bolt this on and then figure out where the bottom piece needs to be on the frame. Just straight down, build that after mocking it all up. And this little project's over. Bottom bracket all made up. See it right now, that's all mocked up. Obviously nothing's tight. These are 1/4-20 and then 1/4-20 nutserts, but it's not in yet. I can't get my nutsert gun in there until I get all this stuff out of the way. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Tear this out of the way. And this is pretty much permanently where it's gonna be. Like, I don't have to take this apart again. So I'm gonna put the gasket in there. I do need longer bolts here. I'm gonna have to run to the hardware store later and pick those up. When I get like a list together of everything else I need. But this actually, that looks pretty dang cool. And then I can go ahead and get the passenger side manifold on, maybe even the cross. I can get the starter in. Plus I could do wiring. There's so much stuff you got to do before you can do. It's like a freaking Chinese jigsaw puzzle. But I know I can get that. Let's just get that done right there. That manifold on, kind of go from there. Mount is mounted. I ain't going nowhere. So I like that actually a lot. It looks pretty dang cool too. This pipe here, I decided to actually weld in more where the wastegate goes into the rest of the exhaust pipe. It looked like it was I must have just only fusion welded a lot of it. And I know over time that ain't gonna hold up. So I really poured it in there. Did like a C. Just filled it all in all the way around. So that's going to be a lot stronger, give me a lot more peace of mind than before. I probably should do it to here too, but it didn't look like it. It looks like I pulled more material out of the flange piece itself and then dumped it into the pipe. It doesn't look like it's divoted in as much. So I'm not really worried about that so much. That should be fine. And again, I'm going to leave this all exposed. So if it's cracked, I'll be able to quickly pull it apart and re-weld it. I know for sure that that ain't going nowhere. That ain't cracking at all. So I'm going to clean this guy up the same way I cleaned that up, just with a wire wheel, Scotch-Brite. And I can bolt this guy on, and then this section is done. All right, I'm calling it quits for tonight, but good day's worth of work. Managed to get all the hot side stuff done. You can see the new bracket that's bolted in there. I kind of wish this wasn't a Heim joint here. It would probably keep it from moving, because I still think you could probably sway it enough, but it is just another point of stabilization. Like literally, that really shouldn't go anywhere. And because I did go ahead and re-weld all of this, and I really put a lot of heat into it and a lot of filler in there, it kind of warped this section back here, and now the fender hitting the muffler. But the exhaust, the fender exit is where it needs to be. So I'm gonna have to modify probably this fender here tomorrow. I might like melt and push that in or something, or cut it out, or not run fenders at all. I really don't know at this point, but I mean, the majority of it is all cut up anyway. But this is looking sweet. This is looking really good. I'm really pleased with the changes that I'm making. It gives me a little bit more peace of mind, and that should be it for the majority of the hot side. I know I said I wanted to get, I'll do it tomorrow. Like, it'll be 2 seconds for you guys, but it'll be, you know, a bedtime for me. So, yeah, get that other exhaust pipe on. Exhaust. See, I'm tired. I can't even talk. Manifold. Driver's side manifold needs to go on. The white pipe needs to go on. The starter, all that jazz. But, yeah. Cool, guys. We're making some pretty good progress. Next day, finally able to get out here, and it's almost already dark out, so that's really convenient. I've only got like an hour, maybe an hour and a half out here, so I'm gonna try to get as much as I can done. One thing I really want to do is the turbo, torn it apart, and because it's been sitting around so long, she's got a little scaliness going on, so I'm gonna kind of strip this thing down a little bit more, just take the feed and the return off for oil, and just scuff it up with some WD-40 and like a Scotch-Brite pad. And the housing here, I think I want to paint this the same color as the intake and the wheels and all that stuff, so it kind of matches a little bit more. So I'm gonna try to get that knocked out. I'm just gonna scuff it up a little bit. That paint dries super fast, and then I want to put all of that together so I can work off from there. That's probably all I'm really gonna have time for. And then I probably won't be able to get to it again until the weekend. It's Monday now. So this might be the end of the video once I get all that together. But we'll see. We'll find out. We'll see how far I can get. Let's get to it. So I get this question every single time I use this paint. But what color bronze is that? It's Duplicolor wheel coating. That's the part number right there. But I will warn you, it's not what it used to be. It used to be that dark bronze that I used like on the engine and stuff for the 50. But now it's a lot lighter. I don't know if they changed it again. It's really hard to come by. I never see it in stores. I had to order it on Amazon. But in order to make this match, I do have to top coat it with a little bit of spritz of black in order to get that darker effect. Otherwise, it's way too gold. So I'm going to get to it. This is my fancy stancy stand for painting. Once I get that painted, then I'm going to work on everything else, give this ample time to dry, and put it all together. Turbo's all painted up, or the inlet section of it looking real good. That's pretty much dry. It should be able to be thrown on right now. I do have the main body of the turbo bolted up to the exhaust parts, and then I also have the oil feed and oil drain lines all hooked up, ready to go. Those are wrapped in some like DEI heat wrap in order to keep them, you know, decently cool from the exhaust. But I do have to make sure I can get this out of the way so it doesn't hit on the pulley or anything like that. So I whipped up these little guys right here, and that will bolt in kind of like that, and then just zip tie around and keep that out of the way as that falls on the ground. Nice, tight, clean. They take like 2 minutes to make. So just a piece of angle aluminum that I picked up at the hardware store. You cut them up, you make anything and everything you want out of it. I use it a lot, so I highly recommend going and just grab a stick of that, because you never know when you're going to use it. So I'm going to bolt this guy up, bolt the turbo up, just keep going. Got those little angle clamps on, everything's zip tied up out of the way. You know, zip tie hose clamps, because why not? Car guy stuff. That's going to work out just fine. That's really not going to go anywhere, and it should clear the arm right there for steering. Got the manifold on, spark plugs, and dipstick, and I just wanted to get this thing sealed up. I just don't want it exposed to any elements besides, you know, the exhaust being open the way it is. So this is looking really good. Got the BSI turbo blanket on here, just setting on here. I'm probably gonna have to take this off because when I prime the motor, I wanna make sure I'm getting some oil up to the turbo there. That turbo's looking real good, matches nice. This is coming together really good. And I'm beyond, well, it's dark. It's dark out. I'm done. I gotta get up early in the morning, so this is where I'm gonna call it quits. There we go, you guys. Making some really good headway here on the Malibu. I'm liking the way this is coming together. It's looking really cool. It's getting me excited about it. Next up, I'm probably gonna work on wiring, get the front accessories on here, and then I'm gonna be able to make that core support because everything else kind of just ties in after that. If you guys made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. Got a lot more coming up. Last little bit of advice though for you. Go to the gym, eat right, get everything in order so that you're a healthy person in the long run. You know, we only get one go at this life and nobody's gonna take care of you besides you. So make sure you're making the right decisions and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks guys.